The next posture is Urdhva Mukha Paschimottanasana. And it's very similar to Ubhaya Panagusthasana, which came just before. The first part is exactly the same, except instead of catching the big toes, you catch the outsides of the feet. So I think when I was taught, I was told like conventionally you need to catch the outsides of the heels, but that makes coming up really, really hard. So it's already hard, to begin with, it's already harder to catch the outsides of the feet, whichever part of the foot you catch, than catching the big toes. Catching the outsides makes it a little bit harder to come up, but catching the outside of the heels makes it extra hard. So what I like to do is I like to start catching the outsides of the tops of the feet, and then once I come up, quickly slide them down to my heels, and nobody ever notices. And I actually don't even think if that's wrong. I think that's actually okay. Everything's okay. You can do whatever you want, anytime. I'm just suggesting certain things that you could do if you find them interesting. So you take a vinyasa, inhale, jump through from downward facing dog. Exhale, lie down on your back. Inhale, bring the feet over the head, just like Ubhaya Panagusthasana, and catch the outsides of the feet. And you keep the feet together. And same thing, exhale, reach back through the heels, push off of the base of the big toes, of the base of the balls of the feet. As you inhale, round the spine, and then reach the feet up. I didn't go fast enough, so I didn't make it. So round the spine and reach the big toes, and that process of pointing the feet or flointing the feet at the right moment is going to help you finish coming up after you've rounded the spine. So it's the same thing as Ubhaya Panagusthasana. You have to find that momentum, start with a rounded spine, and as soon as possible, use the legs to reach you forward. Use that process of the feet going from flexed to pointed. That's going to pull you up. And then at the very end, you open the heart, pop the chest, and find the balance. So I'll do one more time. I'll try to go as slow as possible, but as you already saw, you need some momentum to get this going. Exhale, inhale, round, reach. And then here, this is different from Ubhaya Panagusthasana. So like I said, I slide my feet down here for the rest of the posture, and you pull into like a forward fold here. And you bring the chin as close as possible to the legs, but actually you're not reaching the chin towards the chest. Keep the chin where it is and pull the legs towards you. And I like to keep the elbows in, like behind the calves, because that helps me to really pull the legs in, but also to keep the shoulders down the back. So I'm not here, yeah? And it's just like the same, everything that in a forward fold applies here. You feel that internal rotation through the legs, reaching to the base of the big toes, and reaching the heart up. You can reach the gaze up, I think conventionally you're supposed to. Sometimes that kind of feels like so much strain in the back of the neck for me, so I just keep the gaze forward, and instead feel the energy reaching up through the crown of the head and through the heart, right? So you can direct energy in other ways than just dristi. Dristi is just one way, but if the conventional dristi is uncomfortable or it's just not like useful in any way, then change it and find another way of fulfilling the same intention that the dristi is meant to fulfill. Lifting the energy up so that you're not collapsing into this. And I think the most difficult part for this, for most people, is just finding that balance. So it's important. Find the balance here. Draw the lower belly in so you're kind of just behind the sit bones, and then draw the legs in. They don't have to come in all the way if that feels super forced, and the legs are strong and active. So after you do 5 breaths here, you straighten the arms. Inhale here for just one breath. Exhale. Hands down. Inhale, lift up. Take a vinyasa to finish the posture. And same as in Ubhaya Panagusthasana, you can try this with bent knees to kind of get the hang of rolling up and just to get the hang of the sequence. Like a lot of this is just about getting to know what you're supposed to do. You know, I think like in Supta Konasana, you go over into a similar position with the legs apart. You hold that for 5 breaths, and then you come up. In these 2 postures, You go over, catch the big toes, and you come right up. You don't hold it for 5 breaths. So it's those little details that it becomes part of the process of learning the postures. It's just like learning where to breathe, how many times to breathe, breathing on the inhale to come up. And all of those things, there's a reason behind them. And if you're not sure of the reason, I encourage you to ask, because sometimes in that process of asking, whether you're asking a teacher, you're just asking yourself as you explore on the mat, that process of asking is so important. Like, that's when you're actually like engaging with the yoga rather than just doing what you're told because someone told you and you're just like, sure, I'll take it. That's not the point of yoga. The yoga is kind of encouraging us to ask and engage with the postures, engage with the process through that direct experience. And asking questions is a really great way of doing that. Because a lot of times, I've gone through a process of asking questions of like, this is the way we're supposed to do it. And then I end up finding myself somewhere where I'm like, well, I actually don't feel like I need to do it like that, And then that's how I find my own way of taking these forms and working with these postures in a way that resonates with me, and then it's aligned with what's important to me. So sometimes you go through this rabbit hole of like, why do I have to hold 5 breaths in Supta Konasana but not in Uddhva? And sometimes you come up to an answer, you're like, it doesn't really matter, so just do it either way. But sometimes you're like, no, the convention says to do it like that, and so I'll do it like that, even if, there isn't like a really good life-changing reason to do it or not. So as you can see, you can go off in many different directions after going down through these rabbit holes. But just going through the process of asking and considering if maybe there's a different way of doing it that works better for you, super valuable. But first you kind of had to be presented with a certain way of doing it. So, and the way I'm presenting this posture here is kind of the conventional way of doing it. I don't know how long it's been like this, if this is, or if it's going to continue to be like this forever. That could also change. But for now, we're rolling over, 5 breaths, inhale, come up, exhale, fold in for 5 breaths, inhale, open up again, and then exhale, prepare for the jump back. All right, let me know how it goes.